Hello and welcome back to Live, Laugh, Stuck. Today is the second part of a two-parter that wasn't meant to be a two-parter, but I talk a lot. That's why you listen to the podcast, I hope. We are getting back into it. We are on the lily pad. Everyone is sitting around, just chatting while we're waiting for stuff to happen. And we are just about to break into Choose Your Own Conversation. There are, I forgot, 6 or 8 conversations?
There are 8 of them.
Yeah. 8 of them. Which is why, like, we were originally going to go longer, and then it's like, oh, no, these 8 conversations are going to take so long. There's a lot of talking.
We're just in a very busy part of Homestuck.
Which is exciting. Lots of stuff happening. Lots of stuff to talk about. Lots of conversations. This is where, like, the bulk of my notes came from, so I'm just going to go in the typical English reading order from left to right, top to bottom. We start with John, Dave, and Carcat. Basically, it's just a lot of, like, awkward conversations of, like, Dave feeling nervous that John's here, and then Carcat being nervous that John's here and trying to break the ice, talking about, like, hey, you remember when I had a hate crush on you? I don't anymore. I'm totally over it now. And Dave's like, excuse me? I didn't know about this. What up? We could have talked about this, like, way beforehand, before you just, like, bring it up now because you have a crush on him. I don't have a crush on him. I used to, and now I don't. Convincing as ever, Carcat.
Well, 3 years is a long time to be holding on to a crush.
It is. Especially, like, 3 years of, like, no contact. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a 3-year crush in university, but I was also in classes with that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, it's a totally different experience, like, when you're with him all the time. Like, I remember in high school, I thought I had gotten over a crush, and then they came back to school with a haircut, and I'm like, well, fuck. The haircut brought it back, I guess.
I mean, I mean, a lot of Carcat's discomfort in the earlier parts of the conversation were also because of, like, implications about him and Dave, right? Like, I totally believe him that he's over the crush.
I can't tell if that last part was sarcastic, but yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I do believe him. I could believe him, I should say. I could see a valid reading either way.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, they all are, like, little awkward guys. But, you know, also, if the last thing I ever saw my crush do was punch Friska in the face, or the aftermath of that, you know, it might be hard to get over.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point.
Like, if he just showed up mysteriously and solved a lot of interpersonal problems, you know, like, yeah, but yeah, you're right. Dave was kind of, like, going down, like, his own rabbit hole before Carcat jumped in, and just getting, like, way more insular about, like, identity and sexuality and stuff, and John's like, okay, so you're saying you're gay now? Which, I wrote down as Dave's trying to get John to understand bi people exist, and he is one of them. Which is, it just is so weird, because I thought it was I don't want to say a lot more upfront, like, obviously Dave was still going about stuff. I think it was more like Dave did not realize he was revealing as much to John as he was at this point in time, or that John was not a complete idiot as is often assumed. Sure, maybe he just goes from, like, straight to gay with not realizing an in-between or having to be reminded about it, but he's not a complete idiot to not pick up on the fact that Dave is like, well, you know, sexuality, you know, stuff, like, things change in 3 years after you have time to hang around trolls and think about stuff. Which, yeah, Dave talking about spending 3 years self-reflecting, and I said John could never. You know, maybe if he hung out with Rose for 3 years, but not just, like, on his own like Dave could.
I feel like if anybody hung out with Rose for 3 years, it would induce something.
Yeah,
not
but rage.
Something.
Yeah, a self-reflection or rage, I think, are the two things. Not mutually exclusive. Also, I think this conversation is interesting because Dave is in part a Hussey self-insert in the fact that Hussey used a lot of their own like conversations for Dave, and just like they have a very similar like talking style and everything. And so I like to imagine that this is also partially Hussey being like, hey, remember when I dropped the R slur like every other page? It's been a while and that sucked, huh? That wasn't a great thing. But, you know, it's been a few years to, like, self-reflect about shit. Actually, I was just reading Geo's article, Homestuck's Ruse of Authorial Homogeneity?
Homogeneity.
Homogeneity. There we go. Thank you, dummy.
You're welcome.
But I'm pretty sure that's the one where Geo does spend a second talking about, like, the progress of Hussey in the comic. Yeah, and just like the progress that Hussey has made throughout the years, and how like Homestuck is also a reflection on Hussey and really the internet in general's understanding of things, like how Hussey may not have evolved on their own if the internet culture also didn't go like, hey, maybe throwing around the R slur all the time wasn't like great. Yeah, and so I think that maybe a lot of Dave's conversation has some Hussey in it.
That's possible. It's hard for me to say one way or the other.
Yeah, like, you know, not the whole thing, but I don't know. Oh yeah, and then John asking if Dave is gay now, and then wondering if it could be because of the, like, his retcon, like if somehow he fucked up, like whenever he was messing with the timeline, he made Dave gay, which I do want a gay butterfly effect. I want more time travel about going back in time, and then people are more gay now. Like, you just made everyone gay. So they start talking about quadrants and how, like, John doesn't understand it, and Dave being around trolls understands it more. And John starts talking about, like, you know, getting annoyed by, it's like, you know, it's not that he can hate people. He does get annoyed by people sometimes. And Dave's like, me? You get annoyed by me? Me? Are you saying I'm annoying? Are you annoyed by me? Like, calm down, Dave. No, talking about Terezi. And then Karkat comes back up. I heard you talking about quadrants, so I decided to pause my tantrum. And it's just
which is a great line.
That's so Karkat. And we get the very famous where Karkat's trying to explain to John that him describing his relationship with, or his feelings for Terezi are like classic pitch feelings. And John goes, no. And Karkat says, a fair rebuttal. However, consider this counterpoint. Yes? John says, I have to try as hard as I can to suppress this feeling and make sure I never think about it again. And Dave's like, okay, sounds like a weenie thing to do, but sure, have fun with that. And this is how Bye John can still win. Because he just, like, if it doesn't fit into his schematic on how things should work, it's like, that's gone now. I'm not thinking about it. Very prospect of you, John. So the next one are the Goyles, Rose, Roxy, and Kanaya. As is typical for me, even though I'm bi, I am the resident boy liker. I have very little notes on this conversation. Domi,
well, I suppose it falls
more of a,
to me
to
have the Lalonde conversations.
Yeah, I'm a Rose Kenny, but I don't know.
Yeah. They go back and forth. They have some... It's mostly Rose and Roxy talking about their family stuff, figuring out, you know, parts of which parts of Rose come from Dirk and which parts of Dave come from Roxy, remarking on that, being very fascinated by it. Figuring out how much of their dumbass mental relationships with their mothers was actually of their own invention, and actually working through some of that, which is very fun and cool. Love that for them. Kanaya really, really wants to read future Rose's books, which is cute.
I did write the Kanaya quote down. If during your manuscript exchange you need someone to read over your shoulder, say, to proofread, or to purge each sentence of punctuation and capitalize the first letter of every word, I'd be happy to volunteer. And it's just one of the rare times that, like, oh, this is a purposeful thing that the troll quirks are doing specifically. And Kanaya would prefer everyone else also do that. My only other note was Rose and Roxy's mutual trauma about alcoholic mothers turning them into alcoholics, except that alcoholic mothers are each other.
Yeah, it's very interesting and complicated. I think that you could do a lot of meta on the Ouroboros of where that alcoholism comes from in the first place.
Right.
Is it during this conversation where they both kind of come down to like, yeah, we're not really gonna think about each other as moms, because that's not gonna be helpful?
It might be this one. I know that it gets brought up again whenever Dave joins their conversation, but I think it might get decided in this one.
Yeah. Somewhere along the line that gets said. And I also think that that's a very, very interesting aspect of their dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, it does make sense. I mean, there's the whole, like, weird genetics thing of it, and the fact that, like, they were not literally raised that other person. It's not like their actual mom, except aged down. Like, they don't share any of the same experiences or anything, and then, I don't know.
It's like if your mom had a twin, but you didn't get raised around the twin at all, but also the twin was younger.
And also a lot like your mom.
Yeah, but also you're your mom's mom.
Yeah.
It would be weird to have your mom call you mom, and it'd be weird for your mom to be called, it's a whole, like, I don't know. It'd be weird. So I get it. But yeah, I do love Kanaya just sitting on the sidelines and just observing human familial things, even though, like, this human familial thing is far from normal for the average human.
She's just hanging out. She's just happy that her girlfriend is happy.
Absolutely. I think there's another mention of, like, Rose having support to help kick her alcoholism, which is just, like, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I understand that they had to do it all off screen and everything, but I don't know. I think out of, like, all of the Vriska retcon stuff, this is the one that annoys me the most, especially without any, like, not that I needed, like, a whole arc insight into what happened in the 3 years, besides this little mention necessarily. I don't know. It's just, like, that's one of the hardest ones, because it's a much more convoluted thing than just, like, getting some boys to realize they like each other and get over their shit, or Terezi not having all of this guilt and falling into an abusive relationship. Like, there were a lot of reasons for Rose's alcoholism that had nothing to do with the people around her, right? It was all very internal, and I don't know. This is my one big critique. No, I have more than one big critique, you know me, about the Vriska retcon, is just, like, I don't know, I know we had to do it really quick, but also, like, it's wild that it was shown as being so simple, and I don't know.
I understand, and I agree that it's a little frustrating and dumb that Vriska just, like, magically solves Rose's alcoholism, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that a number of the situations that Vriska solved were way more complicated than Vriska herself should be able to solve. And I also think that that's kind of the point of, like, Vriska Graham and the Vriska retcon as a whole, right? You're supposed to be a little upset about how easily she just fixes everything, because it's Vriska. And I'm not trying to say that makes it better, because that's the point, but,
Yeah.
Vriska's an allegory for Jesus Christ.
No, I'm not. I'm refusing that. That is stricken from the record.
All of this to say, I think that all of that interesting shit gets thrown out in favor of trying to incite some Vriskourse.
Yeah, and I talked a lot more about the retcon stuff last time. It's just, like, I get that the other one's more complicated, but, like, they at least, I don't know, like, Terezi had a connection to Vriska, and Vriska was wrapped up in a lot of Terezi shit. Dave and Karkat kind of needed to be left alone and not have all their shit wrapped up in Terezi and just other weird shit. And yeah, that could be more complicated. There is stuff. It's just, like, I don't know. The alcoholism thing just, like, bugs me in particular. Just because that is a lot more internal and has a lot to do with, like, something, just Vriska has no context for any of it, right? Vriska at least has context for a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah, like, a whole point about why Kanaya wasn't able to help Rose with that is because Kanaya didn't have context for alcoholism as a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, again, I'm hearing that you're frustrated about Vriska.
It's hard, because yes, the point of the retcon with Vriska is to be like, you know, some of it was definitely to stoke a lot of the Vriska controversy fires and stuff like that. But also just engaging with the Vriska fans and the fandom who aren't me gets very frustrating because they have just a lot less critique about the retcon, the Vriska retcon. So, I don't know. I can have it both ways. I can understand that it's part of the comic and also be like,
yeah, you can.
Speaking of Vriska, the next section we have Tavros, Jake, and Vriska, and it is the worst section, and I hate it so much.
I think it's kind of funny.
It's just like, it's just Jake character assassination is what it is. Jake is like, I'm trying to keep this in the context that the last time, like this Jake is fresh out of being in jail where Crocketeer Jane was sexually harassing him, right? So, like, you know, with that context, like, it makes more sense. He's even, like, a little bit wimpier and just, like, a deflated balloon. But it also just feels like, huh?
Do you think Hussey intended to make a character he didn't like, that they didn't like?
Yes, he hates Jake.
Like, on purpose? Or, like,
Yeah.
what is it, like, I need to create a character, oh wait, I hate this guy?
I think it's less that Hussey hates Jake in particular, and more that Hussey perceives Paige as the class that you give to a character who exists to be a punching bag. Right? I don't think Hussey hates Jake, or hates Tavros, or even that Hussey hates Pages. I think Pages are a particular kind of joke character who exists to be punched.
Like, I get that to an extent, but, like, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm coming on strong saying, like, he hates, but he definitely, like, there are definitely characters where you can see these characters are not meant to be liked by people, or Jake isn't quite as much that, as like, Aridin and Gamzee are. But, like, if you take into account, like, a lot of, not even just Jake, the Alpha Kid Jake, but Jake, the Beta Guardian Jake. And then I think this is like, not to go into stuff that's technically not canon, even though I feel like it's more canon than post-canon, but like the cursed lore drops from Skyanet,
Sure.
which were written around this time or a little bit earlier. Like, it's just like every portrayal of Jake in any timeline is just the fucking worst. Like, he just does not catch a break, either because he is actively shitty, or he's a pathetic little weenie. Jake likers suffer, I guess is what
True.
I'm saying.
They do. I don't know. I think that the idea is that you're supposed to look at that and be like, oh yeah, the little guy. He's my little guy.
Oh,
I'm gonna put him in a fishbowl and shake him around.
I think I understand where Jake likers are able to do that. I just don't see a lot of that in the Jake text, I guess. In what I read from this. But you know, I don't know Hussey's mental state. You know, I don't know his I don't know Hussey's mind on this particular issue.
I think that there's a fine balance to strike, right? Because like the Jake stuff is not like, it's not like good-spirited, put him in a fishbowl and shake him around, right? Like, it's very mean-spirited. But, like, I think that you kinda... I think that when you write something like that, right, the intent is to get someone to look at it and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna put him in a fishbowl and shake him around, positive, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Jake is definitely more favorable than, like, Tavros or Gamzee or Aridin especially. I mean, the last two especially. Maybe I'm focusing too much on the stuff that's technically not canon, because even though it was written back in this time, it wasn't released until 2019. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like Jake in this. Or I guess it's not that I don't like Jake. I just don't like how Jake has been written in this conversation, where it just feels like he's just pathetic. Like, he's a one-note pathetic character, and it's just annoying for me to read, I guess.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and then I forgot that Jake and Tavros hung out for a while, because I don't think that was made, like, super clear up until this point. I can't remember that as part of the Vriska Grain, but I could be wrong.
I mean, we haven't really seen much of Tavros right up till now. I think he got made, and that was about it that Briskagram showed.
Gotcha.
Because Jake wasn't in, like, the Alpha Kids weren't in Vriskagram.
Dirk was.
Maybe, like, at the end.
Dirk was in the Vriskagram whenever,
You would know that.
Arqueus was being made. Yeah, because I forgot that they canonically have a conversation. Vriska and Dirk have canonically talked. This cements my, I want to know that conversation. I want them to talk more. I love Vriska and Dirk. They are the two sides of the same coin. I love them. And so, yes, I did.
Writer, go write the conversation.
I know. But, yeah, because, in this timeline, Vriska was responsible for, Arqueus, which I'm not, like, a huge fan of. I kind of still wish that Dirk had been, like, because Arqueus existed anyway, right? Vriska didn't need to intercept that, and I kind of wish that Dirk had been the one to still come to the decision to give life to Hal, rather than destroy him.
I didn't get that out of Vriskagram, because like maybe you're right. Maybe if I go back, I'm like, oh yeah, it looks like they have the conversation, and then Dirk throws the glasses in. But like, Vriska's there to put Equius in.
Vriska already put Equius in, I'm pretty sure, in the Vriskagram, that she already put Equius in, and then looks at Dirk and like points to Equius spray. I could be misremembering. But that's what I remember happening. I'd have to go back and look at it again and freeze frame.
Well, I mean, move on. I guess I'll go back to Vriskagram while you move on.
Okay.
We can just find out.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it is funny that, Vriska goes on her whole tirade about pages in this section, I'm pretty sure. And I think it's a little ironic because, like, and I think it's intended to be ironic, right? Like, that's why Vriska is having this thing about how terrible pages are and how they'll never amount to anything. Whenever in the timeline that got retconned, Jake was OP as fuck and did some, like, super crazy shit, which was her ancestors' fault? Not fault, but caused by her ancestor healing his mind, quote unquote. I don't know, just an interesting thing to note, but I don't know. This whole section still felt like Jake character assassination to me.
Fair.
And then we have Vriska and Terezi, where it is confirmed that they are Morales now. They talk about how they don't know what quadrant Karkat and Dave are in, which is great. Yeah, and Vriska says, so that left them and their cute mayor sidekick to sort things out amongst each other without interference from a bunch of crazy fucked up girls. So true. It's so funny. Yeah, so Vriska's interference to get the two together was actually by removing herself and the others from the equation. Hussey said the misogynistic Fujoshi, these girls are getting in the way of my gayship, is real actually, and Vriska is the true yaoi ally.
You just said a bunch of words that I didn't totally understand.
So, like, there's a trope in fandom. This was primarily a thing back in, like, the early 2010s, the late 2000s, where, straight girls, Fujoshis would ship gay two guys, but that weren't gay.
Into yaoi.
Yeah, and usually they weren't gay in canon, and so whenever, like, one of the guys got into a relationship with the girl, they would be super misogynistic about the girl, because the girl was getting in the way of their gayship. And it's like, a misogyny problem within the fandom, like internalized misogyny or whatever. And, that's been a criticized part of fandom for a while. Some people still act like this is still the major problem in fandom, like it's still 2008, but considering how much I harp on stuff that happened 5 years ago, I guess I can't blame them. I don't know. But in this one, Vriska explicitly says that they were the girls, that Terezi was the girl getting in the way of the yaoi ship. And it's so funny for another reason I can't talk about yet.
Okay.
It'll be a hot second before I can bring it up again.
I'm not even sure I remember exactly what you mean.
It's not it's in the epilogue, so no.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
yeah,
you might.
I wouldn't.
You might just from, like, knowing about stuff that went on in the epilogues, but I'll try to keep this in mind to bring up again whenever we get there. But it's also, like, the opposite of a lot of fandom, where there are a lot of fanfics that, again, people criticize because people will Like, it will be a Dave Cat fanfic, and Rosemary will be tagged as a ship as well, but Rosemary only shows up to fix the Dave Cat relationship and, like, not do anything else. But Vriska says, no, that is the opposite of what these boys need. So listen to Vriska. Let them just vibe.
It's true.
And then I admit that Vriska has some good points with Terezi, and it's actually been a good morale for a little bit, because I don't think Vriska is, like, intentionally malicious. I think she just sucks in relationships, and with Terezi specifically in this specific scenario. That, yeah, because it is the intention for Vriska to suck in this timeline. She has to be here without character growth. Or a little bit of character growth, but not enough. Which is sad. Retcon Vriska is a tragedy for Vriska. That's what Retcon Vriska is.
She can have her character growth later. Unless she dies again.
Well,
Vriska can always have her character growth later. Never forget it.
Okay. I don't like that you just repeated what I said to me.
That'll come up later. Jesus Christ, I have so many thoughts on that I can't get into on this. God.
So to get us off of this, I do have I have receipts about Arqueus.
Okay.
I've sent all 4 panels that exist with Vriska and Dirk's interaction. She totally does tell him to throw Hal in.
Yeah,
But she's also there to throw Equius in.
Okay.
So we're both right.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I forgot she was, like, explicitly holding... Because it was Gamzee that threw it in before, now Gamzee's locked in a fridge. So that makes sense. But, I'm more right, which I think is what's important.
It's true. I can acknowledge this.
Also, 4 panels are more than I thought there were, to be honest. I was thinking maybe 2.
Yeah, no, the other, she gets a panel with Jane and a panel with Dirk. She also has talked with Jane, for the record, which is, notable for my interests.
Yeah.
Nah, she gets one panel with Jane, maybe 2, and then, like, these 4 with Dirk.
Yeah, being like, throw those glasses into this motherfucker. But yeah, again, I just wish that was a Dirk decision.
Well, it was, at first.
The first time, I know, but like...
Now you get it both ways.
I know, I don't want it both ways. I want the character growth from Dirk accepting that Hal is a real living being, and not because his female troll counterpart tells him to.
Well, Vriska exists to make you upset.
I don't know, like, I don't think this counts. Like, I don't know. Like, because, I don't know, to me there's a difference between Vriska, I don't know, I guess...
I know, I'm egging you on, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't be doing it.
I talk enough, Domi, I talk enough. So we'll move on to Roxy, Dave, and Rose. Almost all the Strylons together.
I was gonna say that sounds like an alien thing, but I realized we all are dealing with aliens in this story, but I just don't think of them as aliens.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't know.
Because they're from
cute.
Earth. Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, the trolls are aliens.
Oh, yeah. They
do look
definitely
pretty
aliens.
human. They're pretty normal aliens.
They are humans with gray skin and horns.
They're very Star Trek levels aliens, where everyone is just human with slight different bumps on their face.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Which is why the fandom compensates and makes them insect-like or makes them more animal-like or a bunch of stuff. I love it. Dave and Roxy conversation.
I love Dave and Roxy talking so much.
Yeah, no, it's great because like Dirk and Rose are the same and Roxy and Dave are the same and it is great and I wish we had more Rose Dirk. I just want more Rose Dirk. I want Vriska Dirk and I want Rose Dirk. I want Dirk to talk to girls. I guess is what I'm saying.
He's too much of a cool shonen boy to have anything to do with talking to girls. I'm sorry.
Oh, Domi, those are fighting words. Terrible. I will drive down to where you are and fight you immediately.
I also hate this about shonen boys.
Well, I mean, but that's not the case with Dirk. Anyway, one of my favorite Dirk fics out there is where Dirk and Kanaya have a conversation, and it is very cool, and I love it. I will not remember to link that because I can't remember what it is, but maybe I'll find it and link it. We'll see. But yeah, this one, I quoted this one Roxy Dave where Dave's like, but you yourself are a Paradox clone, I guess, which means you didn't even have bioparents. You originated from yourself. And I said, I hate Homestuck. Roxy says, maybe our asses are getting too hot. Maybe you should speak for yourself. Rose is like, Dave! Dave's amount of, like, incest slip-ups with Roxy is so good. He just has a thing for moms is the thing. Roxy is his mom, Jane is John's mom, and he just keeps having slip-ups calling them both hot in this section.
Dave went through a phase when he was 13 where he listened to Stacy's mom, like, nonstop, and no one ever called him on it.
Yeah, I mean, who was gonna, right? Besides Rose, and he never told Rose.
Because Rose would call him on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I also just took a screenshot of Dave's, like, concerned face. Just straight mouth and, like, furrowed brow. Roxy Jen shippers need to work on them being programming bros, which is so true. Just Roxy trying to teach John how to, like, for real actually get computer skills. The Breakfast Club, but probably shittier, is an interesting way to describe the Alpha Kids. I will think on it. I did not. I forgot about it until right now. I don't think I agree.
It's good, though.
Is it?
It's funny, at least.
It's funny. I don't think it's accurate. I think it's funny, but not accurate.
I've never watched The Breakfast Club, so I actually can't really...
I was literally about to say, it is a funny line that sounds good for people who are aware of The Breakfast Club, but have not watched it.
Correct.
I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe we'll watch it. It's actually good. I like The Breakfast Club, so I'd suggest you watch it. It's not, like, perfect or anything, but it's a classic for a reason. Dave dodging the question on whether he kissed anyone. How interesting. This is confirmation that denizens are aspect specific, which is in question somewhere, but also, like, everyone in Homestuck is an unreliable narrator, so they may believe that it's aspect. I don't know. Like, I know that, like, there's the, Domi, see the Caliborn and Dirk denizen.
Yaldabaoth.
Thank you. Because there's that one that's known for, like, going specifically to very strong players, but then there are other that are aspect specific, maybe? I don't know. That still seems to be a question, right?
Yeah, it's certainly a bit up in the air.
Because, like, they definitely, like, say it in this conversation as though it, like, specifically is just... Yeah, that's... The denizen is based, like, on aspect.
Yaldabaoth is explicitly not...
Yeah.
Aspect specific. It seems to be implied that... I think it's implied at some point that Rose and Vriska both had Cetus.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, obviously Jade and Kanaya both have Echidna, who is, like, almost certainly explicitly space aligned.
I think that is, like, I don't know. They talk about it in the comic as though that is explicitly space aligned.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's literally right in front of me. Vriska's literally talking about Cetus on the page that I have open.
Nice.
Literally right in front of me.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. It seems to be my interpretation is that that most denizens are aspect aligned and there are some exceptions.
Yeah.
But I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense, and we just don't know most of them because we don't get to hear about most people's denizens. And then Rose Sprite shows up because Jasper Sprite made Rose Sprite, which is great. I love that. Yeah, then Vriska's so fucking mad. So mad that one of the sprites got wasted, but it's good. It's fine.
Got wasted?
Yeah, because, like...
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, because I got... I thought, for some reason, I thought you meant, like, drunk right now.
Oh, yeah, fucking Rose Sprite did not have the same, just immediately fell back into alcoholism ASAP.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. Like, tries to go pick up booze and then just, like, gets prototyped with it. But, and then, like, Roxy almost, like, tries to hug Rose Sprite or something, and thankfully Vriska reminds her to not, but then imagine a world with Roxy Rose Sprite, or Rose Squared Sprite, and then, this is a special thing for where Rose and Roxy are talking, because this is Roxy's Sprite, right, that never got prototypes until now, and Rose says, I exist at the pleasure of the player who released my kernel. Lalancester's going wild.
It's not wrong.
That's what I gotta say about that one.
No, that's true.
It very, very much. That's so many fics should have been written about that. I don't know if they have been. And yeah, Dave's saying that they don't have arcs because they're human beings, and Esper would beg to differ. Domi, any more comments about the Dave Rose Roxy conversation?
I don't think so.
Cool. I guess I could ask Mushi the same question, but I'm assuming not.
I am just absorbing the discourse.
Yeah. Oh my god, actually, you did have... Oh wait, that's for a later section. Okay. I'll get to it later.
I forget which parts of my notes are from what parts of reading.
Yeah, well, around here, you don't have a whole lot. You had the Rose Roxy, can I talk about Put Right, and then Poor Moms. Tyrose cheers Jacob, and then Vriska annihilates him. And then your next and last note is for the Rose Dave Kanaya conversation. But we have the Kanaya Karkat Vriska conversation coming up. Trolls hanging out. Vriska, gray romantic for real, actually, because, like, you know, there's a discussion about how, I can't remember exactly where the full discussion is, I'll be pulling from different parts, but part of it is just, like, you know, her saying that she doesn't have time for, like, flushed relationships, and just, like, I think it's Terezi ends up talking about how Vriska just wouldn't be that good in flushed relationships because I forget what the reasoning was. Maybe Vriska can only be in a flush relationship when she's given up on her ambitions, which is why she and Mina dated in the afterlife and not into it now. And yeah, I don't know. I like Vriska as Greg romantic, TBH. And so here's the question of like. So, like, Vriska and Karkat and, I think Terezi are also talking about, oh, no, it's Kanaya, Karkat, and Vriska, my bad. They're talking about, ancestors, right? And, they actually have ancestors because of, Escrub. But, like, do all trolls actually have ancestors, or is that, like, Imperial propaganda?
So, like, that's unclear. You can make your interpretation either way. I think the idea is supposed to be that Alternia is, like... It's stated at some point that the reason that, like, the Alpha Kids timeline is like that is because it's, like, rearranged to try to better prepare them for the game, post-Scratch, right?
I mean, also because, the contest just wanted it to be more, like, you know, get it prepared for Alternia. Or to be more like Alternia.
Yes, but the above board, like, cosmic reason that all of that happens is to try to make the kids more prepared for the game.
Yes.
Right? And so Alternia has some similar stuff going on, but with all of that orchestrated by Scratch, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could say that the ancestor thing is, like, implanted into the culture of Alternia to bring it more in line with, like, the lore surrounding how, like, Spurb players work, right? It is stated that it's, like, a thing that not every troll, like, believes in, right? Like, it's kind of like it's kind of got, like, an astrology woo kind of vibe attached to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Vriska being so into her ancestor, it, like, kind of makes her a little bit of a freak and a weirdo, right?
Right. To be fair, Vriska did actually get a diary from her ancestor, but I guess she wouldn't necessarily know that, well, because it should have had the sign on it. So, yeah. But, like, to be fair, Vriska got as close to empirical proof as you can get.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, all of that. It's, like, it could be Imperial propaganda. It could not be. It's a little up in the air.
Yeah, Vriscat real. I love Vriscat. Karkat bringing up that he doesn't have a space crush on John anymore, only to come over and insist that he doesn't have a space crush on Vriska. Though at least this time Vriska brought it up first, technically. Kanaya says that, oh yeah, because it's Kanaya that talks about Vriska and ambition and, like, flush relationships and stuff. But Kanaya also says that, like, Vriska is, like, freakishly good in pale relationships, and I still argue that Vriska is not good in moral allegiance, but can be good in Ashen ships, which I don't know. I feel like I talked about this last time about how Homestuck, like, even the trolls don't treat osmotism as, like, an actual romance as much as it is, like, a mediator, so not like an actual quadrant, more like a therapist, rather than a therapist as a romantic partner. But I don't know. I still reject that Kanaya would have any reason to think that Vriska's good at being Morales. I mean, I guess we didn't see the 3 years with Terezi, but, like, Kanaya was also Morales with Vriska, you know? Oh yeah, and then I want the troll romance academic conference with Kanaya, Karkat, and the mayor. I love them bonding over that. Then we have Arqueus, Vriska, Terezi, and Dave. Dave, so you're some sort of freak, right? Arqueus, right? Yes. Okay, good to know. It's just...
That's all you really... Yeah, that's the end of the... That's the extent of this entire conversation, let's be honest. Also, Vriska's into it.
I love it. Vriska being into Arqueus is my favorite thing. Just, like, not hearing what other people are saying because she's paying attention to what Arqueus is saying or just looking at him. It's so good. I love Arqueus and Vriska. I cannot believe that's not more of a ship. I mean, I can, technically, but, I mean, come on.
No one wants to think about Arqueus long enough to ship him with Vriska.
They're wrong, actually. Like, Arqueus is one of the best parts. I love Arqueus so much, genuinely.
I also love Arqueus, but, like, I get it.
I guess I kind of get it, but I don't. I don't want to say bad phrasing on Vriska's part, but phrasing I don't like on Vriska's part. Talking about Dirk, he schedules to arrive around the same time as all the other bad guys. Fucking wolf, Vriska. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Dave and Roxy thinking Jane is hot. If Dave and John date each other's moms, they are each other's stepdads and stepsons.
Thinking too much into that.
Yeah.
do not need to go that far.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then the final conversation. Oh, I missed the Rose, Dave, and Kanaya section, maybe.
There's not a Rose, Dave, and Kanaya like, not with those three specifically.
Oh, gotcha. That's just how it's written down on Moosey's thing, because I was looking for that section to read Moosey's note. Moosey, do you want to read the Dave quote that you wrote down?
Okay, like, it's cool that you even know that fact, but this is exactly the kind of fuckery the No BS Zone doesn't cotton to, no matter what sort of cookware is involved, or which pseudo-military organization regulates its borders. I just have some questions about you and about stuff in general, so rather than mumble through a conversation that sounds mostly like the stuff we literally just got done saying, sweet though it would be, I'm gonna machine gun some shit at you lightning round style. And then I wrote, why do you talk like this?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the Roxy Dave conversation where they did a lightning round off and on. It's so good.
Right, Kanaya exists at the very start of this pester log, and then she leaves.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And then there's just one little John Jake section, of which I have two notes. John and Jake bonding over movies good. Tavros is allergic to cats.
Even a Jasper Sprite type of cat?
Yeah, because that's how, like, when Jasper Sprite shows up, that's when he starts sneezing, right?
No, I don't remember anything from, like, a week ago.
That's fair.
Fair.
Yeah, I think that was the case, is he started sneezing or something, or just didn't want to be near Jasper Sprite because he's allergic to cats.
Yeah, it's a very short and sweet conversation.
Yeah.
Just two dudes bonding. You know how it is.
Yeah, I think Carcat should have joined and also talking about movies. Now we're done. The 8 conversations are done, and it's time to move to Vriska time, and time for me to check. God, I wish I would have had more quotes for this, but I just wrote Carcat saying, "Wow, fuck you. You're probably right, but fuck you nevertheless." Which is great, because he's been in charge of drawing the diagrams for Vriska's talk, which is there are 2 dogs, the Condess on Durst, Robojack, Lord English Jack, and Dirk, all converging on Skaya, and just figuring out which team is going to do what. The number 1 threat is the Condess. Jade has to stay asleep through the whole thing because she's too OP. The Condess might possibly have influence over the Jacks. The team is going to be Rose, Roxy, and John, and Kanaya is explicitly not allowed to go when she volunteers. The top threat number 2 is Dog Jack. If Jade is able to wake up and everything's fine, then we sick Jade on Dog Jack. Otherwise, just let the dog mail lady go at him. Then, after that, Carcat stops being helpful with the diagrams and instead just draws 2 shame globes, which are implied to be troll balls, but it is notable that they are distinct and separate entities. And I realized that was most likely just for Vriska to then be able to draw over it for what actually needs to be showcased. But I have never seen it portrayed in any sort of home smut. And I have had...
For good reason.
No,
Sucks.
hold on. Because Hussey said that one, I forget where he said it, but like there is an implication somewhere where it is possible that troll of reproduction is actually through them vomiting up genetic material, and I have seen home smut of that. So I think I should have like at least heard about the this two distinct separate orbs existing. Just saying. I mean, I get like a metaphiles are a whole thing, but still. Lord English Jack, native to the Alpha Kid section, he was the one in Prospect jail, if you remember that, Moosey.
Yeah.
Needs good fighters to go against him and prepare for casualties, with Jane on alert on multiple fronts. Dave, because he's supposed to kill Lord English, which he thinks is bullshit, but hey, this is like close, so like if there's a prophecy, maybe like it can be, there's this loophole where it's like not Lord English, but it is like not Lord English. And then Terezi volunteers, and also Dirk. Robojack is the one from the troll session that Hussey and Miss Paint nursed back to health. He is coming in the oven with the felt and such, and Jake and Tavros will be in charge of taking care of them. So, not a threat. They need to put portals around for Jane to hop through, and then Rose Bright will also help carry Jane around to revive people as needed. Defend Jane at all costs, which I'm sure Domi says all the time.
Yes.
John pauses the whole thing to compliment Vriska because spider breath is still real. Arqueus gets to do whatever the fuck he wants because he's Vriska's favorite. Karkat and Kanaya have a special task. They have to talk to Echidna for mysterious reasons. Because Karkat like throws a temper tantrum of the guy being picked last in dodgeball. But Echidna requested him specifically. So John has the Alpha Kids, Earth, which they will live on after speeding up time for the water to recede. They'll also have to finish the main quest of building up the houses and everything, and then head back to the lily pad they are currently on to reap the ultimate reward. Vriska is going to leave to kill Lord English. That's why she's kind of like laying out all the plans and like not having a spot for herself to do any of this, because she's going to go off and do bigger shit because she's Vriska. She's pulling all the original plans together with the ultimate weapon in the army. And even after all of this talking to waste time and Vriska saying, hey, we're ready to play in the battle now, they still have a few hours before everything happens. And Dave says it feels wrong planning around him, like he's him being Dirk, who they're waiting on to arrive, like he's a weird hypothetical battle mannequin. And Terezi says, from the things I have heard about him from your own personal mouth, that actually sounds like a pretty apt description to me. R.I.P. Dirk, you got murdered. You weren't even here and you got murdered. But then Vriska murders Dirk for real by aiming a sniper rifle at him. But it's a portal gun, so instead of like waiting for him to travel all the way there, it's just like, okay, fine, Dave, deal with your weird parental brother bullshit now. Vriska says, Strider meets Strider. He's pretty fucked up, but probably a nice guy once you get to know him. Which one am I talking about, you ask? Who knows? And that's Striders. That's the Striders for you. That is how you describe them. Vriska's ultimate enemy, her ghost being a fucking loser, hops through a portal, and then the classic John face of kind of like the Dave face earlier, where it's just like straight line, furrowed brow.
I also love that she takes the battery for the window with her so that it will cut the cord and no one can follow her.
That's true. I didn't pick up on that, but that's also so true. Like, no, my mission, you fucks do this other shit that I told you to do, and that's it. It's fine. It'll be fine.
But will it?
Well, the last time we thought it was going to be fine, everyone died, so who knows. But, Vriska is back without most of her character arc being done. We have regressed Vriska, so it'll probably be better, apparently, according to Homestuck. Because I can't even say according to Esper, because, like,
Vriska operates outside of the rules of the game all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like, because the alpha timeline that they were originally on had to be retconned to bring Vriska in it. Like, they were in the alpha timeline because everything that needed to happen happened. Because Terezi willed it to be so. Terezi, the ultimate mastermind, now dead. And that's it. That's all the notes. That's when we got caught up. And we're like, we cannot do another few hundred pages of this, actually. We need to stop. And it was so true. We had to do 2 episodes that are running long. I am still under an hour and 15 minutes. So any
You are.
any final thoughts from either of you?
I guess next time we'll see the plan hatch ? Unless they reboot this story again and have a whole new set of 4 new kids.
That would be extremely funny, but there are a limited number of pages to go through, so considering how long it took I guess, like, if we make it a lot faster, if we just keep, like, because, it was 4 acts to get through the original kids going through, and then, like, an act for the trolls, and then it was kind of, I don't know, maybe it was a longer time again for the alpha kids, which means it's going to be less than an act to get the next 4 in. So, yeah, it's just, the rest of this is just going to be shorter and shorter periods of times of more kids getting into the game. Yeah, I'm excited. Lots of cool stuff happening next time, which I'm going to keep saying until the comic is over. And then I'm going to say there's nothing good after this. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, yes, I will wrap it up here. Oh, actually, Domi, do you have any final words?
I don't think so.
In that case, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. We're getting so close to the end, and I'm excited. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you to Domi for composing the theme song and editing the episode. You can find more of her work at soundcloud.com/dominothief. Shout out to our fakest fan tier supporters, Danny the Spoon Lord and Tezrak. You can become a supporter and receive early episodes and bonus content for as little as $1 a month over at ko-fi.com/jaxyax, or simply give a one-time tip. For information on and links to my other projects, head over to jaxyax.com. Thanks again for listening.